How's it going, people? It seems like you love some color combos, so that's exactly what we're going to provide you with today. We're going to take a look at some soothing, relaxing pairs of Sherwin-Williams colors that will elevate your space while keeping things feeling nice and grounded as well. Welcome back to the Paint People. My name is James, and this is Color Combos, where we talk about colors that just belong together. While some combos can be a 1, 2, 3 punch, we're going to look at 3 pairs of 2 colors that can be used in all kinds of ways. You could insert both of these colors within the same room in the form of differing wall colors or accent pieces off of the walls. You could also have them in 2 different rooms that are close by to one another, and that will help create some visual harmony going from one space to the next. My aim for this list was to incorporate colors that were interesting, but not too bold and polarizing, because I didn't want to limit the amount of ways you can use them. Each pairing will contain one warmer neutral color and another, what I like to call, a soft accent corresponding color. These are Sherwin-Williams colors, but that doesn't necessarily limit you to using Sherwin-Williams products, as most paint companies can match any color into whatever paint they provide, so no worries either way. The first one to start with is moderate white, which is a pretty safe way to start this list. With a fairly high LRV of 74, this one is a warm, light gray beige color that seems to be a little more creamy rather than white. It's not as greeny as it may appear online, and it actually has a decent amount of peachiness to it, I find. I think it fits into this peaceful theme we're talking about because there's nothing really all that offensive about it at all. Now, because of that, in order to incorporate some fun, you could introduce a complementary color that has a lot more of that greeny tinge to it, but not so much that it'll feel too aggressive. I'd perhaps incorporate a color like Kingston for that very reason. Kingston is one of your combinations of green and gray with a little bit of blue as well, but it's a perfect balance of those 3 that keeps it feeling very light. Speaking of light, its LRV is pretty close to moderate white, which is a handy little trick I love to use when I'm putting 2 colors together. As long as there's less than roughly a 10 LRV difference between your 2 pairing colors, that'll give you a pretty good idea that they can be used in similar ways, but will obviously have different undertones and will mesh differently with different furniture. This 10 LRV rule is not set in stone, but it's just another thing that I look for when I'm pairing 2 colors together that contain pretty different undertones. These colors are tranquil, so you don't want them to be drastically different and jarring. So change up the undertones, but not necessarily the depth, or LRV here. Another perfect example of this is conveniently my second proposed color pairing here. And while the last 2 might have been great in a soothing spa, these 2 would be perfect in your chilling chambers, aka a bedroom. The neutral starting point color would be natural linen, not to be confused with the Benjamin Moore color of the same name. Sherwin-Williams natural linen is darker than your off-white colors out there, and that's because it contains a little more brown in taupe. I say taupe and not gray, because you don't really get the sense that it's gray leaning at all, and it's because of all that beige warmth it has. It has an LRV of 66, so I found a color with an identical LRV that moves away from beige and brown and moves straight towards a lemongrass yellow-green. It's called Rice Paddy, and I really gravitate towards this type of color, but in only very specific areas. The first thing you'll notice right off the bat is its green undertone, but it's a transitional green, and it contains enough of that creamy, yellowy warmth to smooth the transition from the beige in natural linen to the green in this color. It has enough color to it where it'll stand out against your standard neutral beige colors, which is why I like it right next to natural linen. Natural linen is a light to medium taupey beige, so it has some substance to it and it won't be washed out by the green in Rice Paddy. Their interaction is great, and I think it's because they're both at that level of not being bright or even dark enough to jump out at you as accents, while simultaneously not being too light where they just seem like an off-white. I've seen interesting incorporations of these yellowy green colors in kitchens or playrooms, but like I said earlier, it's a really fun yet warm and cozy bedroom pairing that you can use on the walls or splitting it up with walls and duvet covers or throw pillows or curtains. The third and final color combo I wanted to talk to you about, and to be honest, get your opinion on, is a seemingly contradictory pairing of warm neutrals. As you're aware of, warm neutrals can come in all shades, tints, and tones. Some are more gray, some are beige, some are green, some are pink. But normally, you tend to try and stick within a certain category of undertones and then play within that whether you want to go lighter or darker. That is, unless you go with an analogous color scheme, which we spoke about in a previous video. These are colors that are close to each other on the color wheel, but not necessarily in the exact same grouping. First color I want to talk about is called Dirty Martini, which has some similarities to Natural Linen, except we're introducing a little more of that Dijon mustard in its undertones. It's going to look a little more warm, a bit more of that gold, which in turn has a tendency to sometimes show flashes of a green undertone. I think it's a great color and suits a lot of your more understated elegance color schemes. And it's because of that gold, obviously. Its LRV is 64, so another light mid-tone color roughly speaking, and you guessed it, we're picking a corresponding color that is within that LRV window we talked about earlier. This time it's only 4 off at 60 LRV, and the color is called White Truffle. Now here's where I'd be curious to find out what you think in the comment section below about this color pairing. On its own, White Truffle is really just a red leaning grayish. It has a bit of brown, some gray, and that burgundy red that gives it a rosy quality, where I feel it's elevated but still welcoming. But the key here is when you take this color and then combine it with the previously mentioned Dirty Martini, you now have a pretty polarizing interaction between the two. These two neutral colors become clearly gold and clearly pinky gray. They're both on the warmer side of things, but they have different kinds of warmth, and it really is a fascinating juxtaposition of elegance and ease. This pairing, more than the last two I would say, I would use specifically as one being the wall color and the other being incorporated in your furniture and fixtures. And if you were doing that, I would really double down on those gold tones within the room because you want it to look deliberate rather than one slightly off piece that you just can't seem to get rid of. So have fun with these pairings, and if you have any ideas on our next color combos, go ahead and post them down below so we can take a look at them ourselves. If you just can't wait until the next episode, here's another one that you can watch right now. I have so much fun putting these videos together, and the whole entire Paint People team really appreciates you taking the time to watch them. If you want to show your support, you can hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on the color content you crave. See you on the next one.